All right, we are live. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. This is State of the Gaming Industry episode dose. So if you're new to the channel, this is normally where I just kind of go over all the topics going on in the gaming world, gaming industry, as the name suggests. For the past week or so. So we'll try to do this on Wednesdays in the middle of the week so we could kind of get a little bit of the beginning of the week and what happened over the weekend and the end of last week. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about, of course, the DrDisRespect. I shouldn't laugh because it's not funny, but yeah, that man got a lot going on. So we're going to get into all that. We're also going to talk about rumors of the PS3 emulator being worked on for the PS5, and then also talk about kind of that all digital future that it looks like we're heading towards for all the consoles realistically. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the Nintendo leakers, kind of getting their sources exposed or some personal information getting out about them that they don't want people to know about, that we're kind of that we're hearing about and things like that. So yeah, it's gonna be quite a night. So first, I wanted to talk about some games that are actually releasing this week. So that's kind of how I want to start every show. Let's talk about some games coming out this week. So we are on Game Informer. So June 25th, which was yesterday, we got the Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition coming out on the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And now, this was a topic too for a lot of people because Beyond Good and Evil 2 was announced, I think, in 2017, something like that. And we haven't heard anything about it since then. But apparently the studio, Ubisoft and the developers of this game said that it's still coming. Who knows when it'll actually come, but at some point it will. And I was looking into this too because I got a Wii recently, and I was looking at some top like GameCube games to get for it. And this was on there, but I saw like complete in box, it was like $60-$70, and I was just like, I don't know this series that well for me to want to do that, so kind of pass on it. But yeah, if you want to buy, let's see how much it costs. So $40 on GameStop, not bad. Cozy Grove, that literally sounds like a game I would never play. Graven, Riven, Super Monkey Ball, Banana Rumble. I always get emails from Sega, so this came out yesterday as well on the Switch. Not my kind of game. Luigi's Mansion 2. So this comes out on the 27th, which is actually tomorrow. So this is actually an HD version of Luigi's Mansion, what's it called? Dark Moon, that came out on the 3DS. So Luigi's Mansion's gotten really popular, especially Luigi's Mansion 3. I think so, like 19 million copies or something crazy like that. So of course we already knew this game was coming from the Nintendo Direct. So you'll be able to pick that up tomorrow on the Switch. And a bunch of other random games I don't think anybody cares about. So with that out of the way, let's get into the DrDisRespect stuff. So sorry, I keep clearing my throat, I'm still a little sick. So this is kind of crazy because there's been rumors about stuff going on, like DrDisRespect. I think it was 4 years ago. He had a deal with Twitch, and that seemed to just go away for whatever reason. And no one ever knew why until now. Of course, NDAs were signed, court settlements, stuff like that. So we could just go through this meme real quick I've seen. So you can see, I don't even know if I can say this guy's name, Mr. Steen. Steen's Island right here with the DrDisRespect sunglasses. Got Mr. Eagles fan 445 or whatever his name is. You got this Alien vs. Predator movie, and then you got Mr. Giddy right here, Dr. Giddy right there. So just some funny memes they've been having of him, but To be honest, it's not that funny, to be honest. And the reason it's not is because what he's getting accused of and almost confirmed pretty much. Of course, there's NDAs and stuff like that, but pretty much what he's been getting accused of is having an inappropriate, I won't say relationship, but communication and things like that with a minor. Um, and I don't know why this seems to keep like the streaming community specifically. This seems to happen like a lot. Like I'm not trying to call out the streaming community. Obviously, there's good people and bad people in every type of community, but like the streaming, gaming, like that community for some reason always tends to have these kind of controversies. Like I don't know why. Um, yeah, it's weird, but we could get into the article a little bit. This is from Forbes. So it says Dr. Disrespect issues a shocking statement, finally revealing why he was banned from Twitch. So Dr. Disrespect, I didn't know this guy's like 42. He has like a wife, kids, everything. He's 6'8". I don't know. That's not important, but like I don't know. He's too old to be doing this. But anyway, Dr. Disrespect, aka Guy Beam. Still, it's so weird to me how white people name their kids Guy. Like that's actually a name. But anyway, he's been in the news again nearly 4 years after being banned from Twitch in 2020, the online streaming platform where he made, that's where he got his fame and everything. Again, I'm not big on like streamers and Twitch and stuff like that, so I've seen him around and like clips of him, but I don't know him like that. So the reason was never, out there. But then it says on June 22nd, so this was on, I believe it was Friday. Um, Former account director, strategic partnership at Twitch, Cody Connors tweeted, Dr. Disrespect got banned because he got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon, the powers that could read in plain text. The powers that be could read in plain text, sorry. So, first of all, Twitch Whispers in and of itself just sounds like something that shouldn't exist. Like it just sounds nefarious in the first place. But yeah, again, this is like I keep hearing stuff like this, like, oh, this streamer is gonna meet with this fan at TwitchCon, or like we've seen it in the Smash Brothers community, we've seen in a bunch of these streamers and influencers and content creators, like they always have these planned meetups at these conventions, which is like whatever. If you're two consenting adults, then like it's not that weird, but it seems to be a thing with like minors all the time. It's always a minor situation. And I'll be honest, like this doesn't have to be a whole deep dive, but like certain terms that are being thrown around, same thing being thrown on like Drake, like there's one thing to be texting a minor or trying to have a relationship with a minor or whatever, and like being the P word, as we'll call it, because I know YouTube doesn't like you saying certain words, but like those people to me are like people that like specifically go after like 10-year-olds, 9-year-old, like stuff like that, like people that are literally going after kids. Like these other people that are like, yes, is we don't know how old this person is, but like we're assuming they're 16, 15 maybe. Like, yes, that's creepy, that's wrong. That person should, get the brakes beat off of them for sure. It's just like I don't like throwing that specific label on them because it's like it's not the same to me. But either way, it's like it's still wrong at the end of the day. And we could go to his actual statement that I did have bookmarked. There it is. So we don't have to read the whole thing because it's pretty lengthy. But pause. But we could see like it's got 102 million impressions already. He's already started losing sponsors, everything. So he said, the Twitch ban, I'd like to make a quick statement. Let's cut the FNBS. As you know, there's no filter with me, blah, blah, blah. Accept responsibility. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everybody in the community as well as those close to me, my team, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people have been left in the dark. Okay. Here we go. why I was banned from Twitch, but for reasons outside my control, I was not allowed to say for several years. So this is where he pretty much kind of cops and admits to everything. So he says, were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? So right then and there, I don't know why he's putting this statement out at this point. And apparently, this is me seeing it now, but apparently he was taking the term minor out of the message and then putting it back in and editing it. Like, it was weird. So he admits, okay, there was messages with a minor. The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. So him saying, were there real intentions behind these messages? Kind of like, we don't know what the messages were, but it's kind of like, for you to say real intentions sounds like there was something in there, whether you were joking or not, about doing something physical with this person. So that's not good, of course. These were casual mutual conversations that sometimes leaned much in the direction of being inappropriate. So, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened. No pictures were shared. No crimes were committed. I never ever met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration, blah, blah, blah. Now, from a moral standpoint, I absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained the conversation to begin with. All this kind of stuff. And then he kind of, I don't want to say, like, is begging for like forgiveness in a sense, but he's kind of like trying to clean it up a little bit. Like, hey, it was resolved in court. You know, I never did anything. Like, I'll cop that. I shouldn't ever did talk to the person in the first place. All this kind of stuff. And it's just like, yeah, bro. Like, to me, anytime this kind of stuff happens, I always question, like, why does it happen? How does it happen? Because, like, in my mind, when you talk about talking to minors or high schoolers or all these kind of people, it's like, I don't know, like, how do you even get to that point, right? Like you can't find them they're not on dating sites. You're not hanging out around high schools. You're not, like, I never understood how it even gets to this point. Like, are they on your explore page? Are they messaging you and you're just replying to them only, but no one else? It's like, I don't know. Like, it's so strange to me. Like, of all the people you can talk to, like, first of all, he's married with kids, so he shouldn't be talking to anybody. But then it's like, I just think the first rule, like, when it comes to this kind of stuff, is just don't even apply to any of this stuff. Like, listen, if you're a grown man, whether they're man or a woman, it's like, when you have a certain amount of money, notoriety, things like that, like, this stuff automatically doesn't seem innocent anymore because you have some type of power. That's how people view you, right? You have influence, you have power. They're obviously fans of you. So there's that whole dynamic behind it. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like, what do you gain from talking to them? Like, it's not like they're like, oh, I love you so much. And you're like, oh, thanks for the support. And then you get out of there and that's it. Or like, oh, I got new merch dropping, like, whatever. Like, you're sitting down having these conversations with essentially children, and it naturally leaning towards inappropriate stuff. It's like, is that from you? Is it from them? Like, that's when it starts getting really creepy. So I don't know. This, like, again, I never understand it. I don't know how these people get in these situations in the first place, but we'll have to see. Like I say, he's losing sponsors. The really crappy part is he has a gaming studio that they started. What's the name? Midnight Society. Midnight Society game studio, and that sucks for them because he obviously has most of the money. Midnight Society. So they have a game coming out called Dead Drop. And unfortunately, they had to put a statement out too. So on Friday evening, we became aware of the allegations against one of our co-founders. We assumed his innocence, but then they started speaking with parties involved, meaning him probably the miner as well, probably Twitch, probably whoever they could talk to. Um, for that reason, they terminated their relationship with him, and it's like that sucks for them because you get in such a tough position with that where you're trying to have a game come out and you can't be attached to this guy, but at the same time he's funding the game, he's the face of the game as well, and it's like that sucks, man. I hope I hope people can, you know, still support the game and it can come out and everything like that, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good for him. Like, sucks, man. Like when you do stuff, other people are affected, and that's just how it goes. So we'll have to see what happens with him, but again, not looking good. But let's move on to the PS3 emulator rumor. So the first thing is, this is from notebookcheck.net. We find these random people. They're not the ones who made the statement, but they collected this. So backwards compatibility rumors concerning the PlayStation 5 are back, with full PS3 emulation supposedly on the card. Sony's new PlayStation Plus service will offer playing of PS3 titles on the PS5 via cloud streaming, but it will be at the mercy of the console owner's internet connection speed. So one of the most talked about rumors in regards to PlayStation 5 before its launch was backwards compatibility. So I want to stop this right here. And I saw someone tweet this, and I was thinking they were being like a little like semantic-y, but it's true. We keep throwing around the term backwards compatibility, and it's not always backwards compatible. Backwards compatibility doesn't mean, oh, you can just play the game in some form or fashion. Like, backwards compatibility literally means that game can be played natively on the system. At least that's how I understand it. Whether that's you putting a disc in, whether it's you bought the game on the PS1 and now you still have the rights to it. Well, not the PS1 because there was no internet, but let's say PS3 or Xbox 360, something like that. You bought it digitally, Xbox Arcade, and now you could play it on a current system. That's backwards compatibility. Or being, like I said, being able to put a disc in and still play it. Putting emulators and things like that, to me, isn't true backwards compatibility. Now, some people don't care about that, but at the same time, like, being able to play the games is the most important part. But then when you care about like game preservation and not buying a game multiple times and paying for more subscriptions and stuff like that, that's where that kind of comes into play. And a lot of people are like, listen, I bought this game 20 years ago. I bought it again with the remaster 10 years ago. I'm not buying it anymore. I want to be able to play the games I owned. I want trophy support. I want upgraded visuals. I want all that put into the game. So they said there were some expectations that PS5 would come with hardware emulation for all previous PlayStation consoles, whereas the reality that it would just be the PS4 that got covered. And this was a thing that, you know, when people are trying to decide, do they want to buy a PS5 or Xbox Series back in 2020 when they were coming out, this was a thing that, you know, Xbox, I know there's, you know, you could say their first party library isn't, well, I think it's kind of known and agreed upon that their first, you know, first party library is just not as strong as Sony's. But they've done such a better job when it comes to backwards compatibility since the Xbox One era, which, you know, not only brought games to be able to be played on the disc, or brought games to be able to be played if you bought them previously, but you also have the Xbox Anywhere. So like if it's available on PC or anything else, like you already bought it, you could play it on there. They did like FPS boost, so they brought games up to 60, even 120 frames per second for some games, 4K, stuff like that. But PlayStation kind of just kept the PS4 games as the backwards compatibility, and that, you know, a lot of people were ticked off about that. We'll talk about a little after this, but just talking about like the all digital future and what that means. But eventually, like, you're going to see more and more of this like lack of backwards compatibility because it's not feasible to just keep it forever, right? Okay, however, this might not be a permanent situation with game industry journalist Jeff Grubb, who's, Jeff Grubb's a pretty known person in the industry. He sometimes leaks stuff, he knows people, and he seems like a good guy. Making some interesting claims in a recent YouTube stream via VGC. So apparently he believes, so again, none of this is confirmed, but he believes that Sony may be working on a full PS3 emulator for the PS5, thus removing the potentially capricious, I don't know what that word means, streaming element from the mix. But he also states that this could be some time away yet, with the PS3 being an infamously difficult platform for developers to work with. So that's the other thing when it comes to the backwards compatibility thing. When people went with the PS3 was, even when the PS3 was out, whatever the hardware when it first came out, I don't know if the later models changed it, but like the infrastructure of the PS3 was notoriously hard to develop for, or difficult compared to the Xbox 360 for developers. So when you come to like third party developers, even first party, it's like it's not that easy for them to develop for it in the first place. And then now you're trying to bring that infrastructure over to the PS5, which is 2 generations later. So obviously it's not easy. Grubb says that he has looked and asked, presumably with his sources, about whether Sony was forging ahead with true PS3 emulation on the PS5, and the signs seem to point in that direction. But of course, there's a question of whether Sony will be willing to invest millions into such a project that may not pay much in return. While some PS3 classics have made it to PS5, such as The Last of Us, playable via PS4 disc, remake for PS5, rumored to be coming later this year. Oh, this is an old article from. Oh, this is from 2022. Oh my god. Okay, I messed up on this. There was a new article where they're talking about the PS3 emulator, so I didn't realize that. But either way, so this kind of proves it. Like the talks have been about this since 2022, maybe a little bit before, but I don't know. The PS3 will be 20 years old, believe it or not, in 2 years, so 2026. Would they wait that long? I don't know. Like Sony kind of keeps stuff kind of hush hush. But then this kind of goes into what I was going to talk about next, which should be the whole thing about all digital future, and that's because when it comes to these things, again, it comes down to infrastructure and things like that. So that Piscatella tweeted out. So this was from I don't know his position with Limited. Okay, so this is from the CEO of Limited Run Games, right? So the Legacy collection of, the remastered collection of Tomb Raider 1 through 3 is coming out for Limited Run Games, and the CEO said, one more reminder that the Xbox version of this release is not planned for traditional retail, so if you want it, this is truly your last chance. After he tweeted that, Matt Piscatella from, what's he from? Circana, yeah. So he does he looks at the game sales and things like that, but he also has insight on the industry. He said folks should probably just get used to this no physical Xbox version across the market sooner rather than later. And this has been rumored again. All the signs kind of lead towards this. Like for Xbox specifically, first we're seeing Game Pass being pushed very heavily. We're seeing them getting rid of retail teams in general. We're seeing some games getting digital only releases, such as Hi-Fi Rush, and then of course they had the Limited Run do the physical for it. And they did Hellblade 2. So when it comes to physical for Xbox, I do not expect, that's why I stopped buying physical games for Xbox, because number one, most of the first party games I may just get in Game Pass anyway because I'm subscribed to it. If it's a third party game, I'll probably just get it digitally. And then if it's like a JRPG or something like that, I just don't buy it on there because I know JRPGs, they're kind of a grind. I'd normally try to get it on Switch. If not, I'll get it on PS5. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the way it's going. And I know a lot of people kind of talk about uh oh, they're not, oh, limited run or these other people first press games, all these other people could keep putting out physical versions, and it's like that's true, but at some point you won't be able to play a physical version. Like like whether you make a disc or not, if the system doesn't have the ability to play a disc, it doesn't matter, right? So like we're seeing these digital versions of the system and things like that come out. We're seeing detachable disk drives, stuff like that for the PlayStation 5. Like it's inevitable. At some point, you literally won't be able to put a disc into it. I'm sure maybe they'll come up with some infrastructure, like someone could make it some third party aftermarket type thing, but I do not expect, if that new Xbox comes out in 2026, like it's rumored to, I do not expect that thing to be able to play disc. I don't. So, get ready for that. Um, and then after that, someone said it already happened in other markets. No retail copies of Xbox games here in Brazil. Nintendo and PlayStation still sell them though. And we've heard like the 50-50 split between Nintendo physical and digital. PlayStation's like, I forget what they said, maybe like 70-30, depending on what country you're in. Then Matt Piscatella replied to that and said, yeah, I give PlayStation another gen. So they're saying next gen Xbox will not have physical games, which makes sense with their all platform approach, right? Like play anywhere. PlayStation, give them another gen. So after PS6, no more. And then Nintendo, maybe two more, which is kind of what, I mean, I was thinking that same thing. And that's pretty much what this article was talking about. Just like kind of diving deep into the limited run CEO talking about it. Pretty much the tweets we just read. So again, listen, with them shutting down departments, them releasing all digital systems, getting us used to it. And I think realistically, I think the Xbox Series S, like when you look at it, I think the Xbox Series S wasn't just a, oh, let's do a, affordable system. The same reason they did it, and the same reason the PS5 did, even though the PS5 digital had the same power as the disc version. Why they did it was market research. They were trying to see, hey, can we move towards getting rid of physical games? Do people care about it? And the Series S, I forget when, but it was selling a lot more than the X at one point. Some people are like, okay, 1440p, 1080, whatever. Hey, I got Game Pass, whatever. So they just trying to push out, okay, we'll put out 1 terabyte versions of the Series S. We'll do 2 terabyte versions of the Series X. You got the expandable hard drive you can add on there for more memory, stuff like that. So yeah, I think the days are numbered for the physical version. So all right, let's get to the last topic of tonight, and that is about these leakers. So we don't have to talk about Midori. This is, if you guys don't know, Midori from they would tweet about like Sega and Atlas leaks. I don't want to call it got exposed, but like someone revealed that they're like really a man or something, but they never said they were a woman, and all this, like, I don't know, stuff. I don't, people just care too much about stuff like that. Like, I care about the leaks. I care about that type of stuff. Like, are you providing the service that you said you're going to provide? That's all I care. But so let's look at this article from Nintendo Life. So there's another leaker named Pyoro, I believe is how you pronounce it. And if you guys don't know, like when it comes to video game leaks, sports leaks, like Stephen A. Smith, Woj, all these guys dropping it, Shams, all these guys dropping this information, it's like you don't ever reveal your sources. Like that's a personal relationship. Like same thing with, let's say, sneaker reselling or whatever. If people get like backdoor copies of games, all this kind of stuff, you don't reveal your sources of information because one, you're putting that person at risk. Two, you'll never ever be a reputable person ever. Like, no one wants to talk to someone who's putting their information out there. So recently, this was from the 21st. So Nintendo Direct information leaker Pyoro, who's been connected to multiple accurate Nintendo related leaks over the last year, has apparently locked their Twitter account. This comes following the publication of a story by Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier, where the leaker stated that their source works for Nintendo. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, to me, Jason Schreier as a reporter and a what do you call it? You know, he works and reports on gaming. I feel like he shouldn't have said where his source comes from. But at the same time, I guess when you're reporting, it's like, number one, it's not Jason's source, so he doesn't care. But number two, it's like, hey, people want to know how you're so accurate. Where are you getting this information? Like, everybody wants to know the behind the scenes of this stuff. So now it's like, it's getting further past just, hey, we want to know the information. It's like, we want to know how you know you're getting this information. Like, we want the behind the scenes. So, following the story going live on Friday, June 21st, Pyoro acted surprised to the information being shared publicly after speaking to Schreier in a DM. So he responded and said, WTF, I didn't know they would include my responses in their report. So what Jason said was, it says, the Bloomberg report details a back-end theory doing the rounds online, which was, hey, there's something on Nintendo's web backend where people are finding out what's going to be on there. There was another rumor around people being able to see, like, on the YouTube backend for announcements for Nintendo Directs and stuff like that. And apparently, it says there's no concrete evidence attached to Pyoro's claim that their source is employed at Nintendo Co. Limited, which is the main Japanese company of which Nintendo of America is a subsidiary. But that's pretty much what he said. Jason Schreier said, I reached out to Pyoro to try to get clarity on this. Over direct messages, they told me that their source works for Nintendo of Japan. But I'm unsure how they obtain their information and that the back-end theory is a reasonable guess. So Pyoro himself said that, like, he can't confirm how the employee actually gets the information, but like the back-end theory that we're talking about makes sense. But him revealing that it's a Nintendo Japan employee is like, man, because you can always assume, oh, it comes from an employee of this source or someone or like a partner or something like that. But for you to specifically say that it's an employee who has access to the backend and their Nintendo of Japan employees, like, now somehow, we don't know how, but Nintendo, they call them the Nintendo ninjas, they somehow have the ability to find out whatever they need to find out, who's sending what, they track you down, sending people to jail, taking their money for the rest of their life, all this crazy stuff. So I don't know, I think Pyoro, it sucks for him because it's like, he might not get information anymore. Like, he had that source. It's not like he has this one really solid source and he's been pretty accurate with his leaks and things like that. But now, I don't know, like, you locking your account and stuff like that. I don't know. Like, again, I'm not a journalist, so I don't know the rules when it comes to this kind of stuff. I just know that some of this stuff you kind of don't say. Like, it's kind of like just, you know, you're kind of putting your trust into people, and then to see it in a Bloomberg article is like, yeah, I don't know. So when it comes to like this leaking and stuff like that, man, it's like, to me, it's not even worth it. Like, I wouldn't want to be known as a leaker. Like, I would say, if I get some information, they're like, say, hey, can I talk about this? And then just be like, hey, I heard XYZ, or like throw it in a video or something like that. But like, when you build your whole identity around this idea of being a leaker and always putting out information and stuff like that, it's like, it seems to like always come back to bite people for some reason. So yeah, man, I don't know. That's unfortunate, but hopefully we keep getting information on these directs because there should be one in September. So. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this week. Not, I mean, a decent amount of news, nothing like groundbreaking. I think the DrDisRespect stuff is probably the craziest stuff, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, every Wednesday we will be doing another episode just talking about the gaming news and things like that. Also, check out my streams on Mondays and Thursdays. Monday I do like call it Modern Mondays, do modern gaming. Thursdays try to do Throwback Thursday. So tomorrow I'm gonna try and do a Link to the Past on the Switch, and then videos every Sunday. So appreciate you guys for stopping by. Leave a like on this, share it, subscribe if you are somebody new. Have your friends subscribe if they're new. Have your family subscribe, and I'll catch you on